Welcome to the Truro and Colchester Chamber of Commerce Business Voice podcast. In the coming days, we will be hosting discussions with candidates from all three ridings in Colchester County to learn about their perspectives on issues presented through the lens of business. The Chamber represents more than 450 businesses in the Truro and Colchester region and has been the recognized voice of business for 131 years. Normally, when an election is called, we would welcome candidates to debates and town hall sessions. But this year, due to COVID-19 and public health restrictions, we have chosen to err on the side of caution and host one-on-one discussions with our candidates. Our members have had an opportunity to submit questions in advance on topics of importance to them. This series of podcasts for the 41st Provincial General Election are brought to you by the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors. Well, this morning we would like to welcome Dave Ritcey, Progressive Conservative candidate for Truro-Bible Hill-Millbrook-Salmon River. Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Sherry, for having me today. You know what, a little bit about myself. Well, I've been the MLA for the last 15 months. This is my second election in that time frame, which is rewarding actually, because it gets me back out on the doors. And seeing the community members and listening and trying to really understand where their thoughts are and where the process is going. And I can tell you, I that's my favorite part of the job. I've said that at the door, is getting out and meeting with the community members and really understanding what's on their mind, I guess. Born and raised in Truro. My wife is Amber. We've been married close to 20 years, 19 actually. I have two beautiful children, Addison and Alexandra, 13. I almost made a mistake there, and 9. So we're a family-driven campaign, I guess. Really, my family's always been involved. They're involved in my last one, and they're involved in this one, and I think it's important to have that support at home because. Either way, it's you need that support valve, and family's very dear to heart to me. So, speaking of family, my grandfather was the MLA here in Colchester from 1968 to 1974, and he was also the Minister of Tourism and Industry. So, following in his footsteps, I guess, in politics. And my father, Jed, was in a different type of politics. I was hockey politics, and he was with Hockey Canada for a number of years, servicing on their board.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction, Dave. We poll our members on an ongoing basis so that we can have a great understanding of some of the topics that are of importance to them. Certainly during an election, we want to make sure that those topics are raised. So let's start off with this. Many of our businesses across every sector are experiencing a lack of human resources to fill their labor gaps from skilled to unskilled positions. What is your party's plan to address this critical need to fill employment vacancies?
You know, we need people, and our plan has outlined that. Our plan has outlined we need young people. We need to bring young people back. Infrastructure is a big component of creating jobs. And so we need those tradespeople. Right now, we don't have those tradespeople. I think there's over 7,000 misplaced or unforeseen tradespeople. We need that, and we have in our plan any trade person or anybody under the age of 30 wishing to take a trade doesn't have to pay their personal income tax to the province. So it's an incentive for them to come back home, get into a trade, and help us out.
Another topic that's very important to businesses in this region is physician recruitment. It's directly tied to economic growth, and it's having an impact on the overall health system. It's certainly been expressed by our businesses that it's a challenge to recruit and retain new employees because of a lack of access to family physicians. What is your party's plan to address this?
That's our plan. You know what? Healthcare has been the topic of the PC party for a long time, and it's right in our platform. We're heavily invested in healthcare. We hear that on the doorsteps. We hear that out there. We read that in the media. It's everywhere. All the consultations we've had over the last number of years has directed us right to healthcare. So Tim Houston and the PC government is focused on doctor recruitment and retention. And the question arises, to be honest with you, I think the important part here is retention. Let's fix our healthcare system now. Let's really dive in, invest our money, invest in people, respect our healthcare workers, and to be truthfully, that's where our mindset is we need to fix healthcare. And the only way you fix healthcare is you change the culture. Change the culture, you need to change government.
Okay, well, let's talk about another major concern that businesses have expressed. Certainly, Nova Scotia has one of the highest tax rates in the country, in Canada. Mm-hmm. We know that it was necessary to provide relief measures during COVID and make some investments. But businesses are concerned about the cost of COVID. So when these relief measures wind down, how will this debt be paid?
Yeah, you know what? We need to grow our economy. We need people, first of all. We need people. We need to grow our population. We set a goal the PC government has for 2 million people by 2060. In order for us to do that, it's obviously lots of planning, lots of investments, creating jobs, and it works out attracting 25,000 people a year. And that was a hefty goal, but it's important. We need people to grow our economy. Again, we have programs in place. The Better Paycheck Guarantee program that we've announced, as well as the Nova Scotia Loyal program, will attract new and innovative ways to attract people to our community.
So that brings up another very important topic. So when we're talking about attracting people to our community, they need places to live. So currently, purchase and rental housing supplies are near historic lows in Nova Scotia. This region, in Truro, we're hovering around a 1% vacancy rate. How will your party increase supply to ensure there is a healthy housing mix that includes the entire spectrum from affordable housing to rental to home purchases?
Yes, no, you know what? It's really come to light, the housing situation, and to be honest with you, being involved as part of my portfolio was housing, municipal affairs and housing at one time as the critic. Divested a lot of time into it. Rent control is not the answer on that. So it's about partnerships. It really is, and it's a collaborative approach with all three levels of government, not-for-profit sectors, working with developers to entice them to develop housing and build housing. So we need to do that in so many different ways, but I would take the collaborative approach to increase supply, and that's the issue.
Okay. Some of our businesses raise this issue that the current procurement process by government makes it challenging for small businesses to compete, particularly in rural areas. How will your party look at the current procurement process with a lens on increasing opportunities for Nova Scotia businesses of all sizes?
Yeah, so we're the only one talking about small and medium business right now. So the biggest challenge with those small and medium businesses, we will work with businesses to reduce the red tape. Red tape has been the biggest challenge for those businesses.
That leads again to the next question. So current red tape and high costs for permits, granting permission for exporting products to markets outside Nova Scotia, is preventing some local manufacturers and producers from actually reaching into those new markets. Mm-hmm. How will your party simplify the process for out-of-province exports, improve the cooperation between the provinces?
Well, I think it's important that we work with our other provinces, especially our Atlantic provinces. We've been pushing for more Atlantic collaboration, especially during the pandemic. Tim Houston has a real good relationship with the PEI Premier, Dennis King, and the New Brunswick Premier Higgs. And we recognize the importance of exports and imports. And I think the quickest progress that we can make is the bilateral deals with other provinces and sitting down and having a conversation and developing that strategy.
Certainly, we all know the importance of reduction of greenhouse gases and implementing environmentally friendly practices. It's necessary to build a healthy future here in Nova Scotia. What supports will your party introduce to assist in greening business?
Well, the PC party will always listen and advocate for concerns of the residents. And the province has a long history of placing more emphasis on the economic development initiatives than the environmental ones. So there needs to be a balance. And we've seen some of those most polarizing debates in our communities, pitting neighbor against neighbor in the argument of economy versus environment. As a result, our PC government will establish a blue ribbon panel of subject matter experts to assess the complex applications and really understand and review the documents coming through with scrutiny and honesty and openness and transparency.
So now that public health regulations have relaxed a little bit and we're allowed to go out and do a little bit more traveling, driving around the province of Nova Scotia, there's no doubt that there needs to be greater investment in fixing roads and aging bridges, again, particularly in our rural areas. So what is your party's plan to ensure that our trade-enabling infrastructure improvements are done to support the movement of goods and services, but also growth in our tourism sector?
Yeah, for sure. I think focusing on investing in the economy, necessary infrastructure to support that. And, the PC are making smart investments. We're making smart investments that will be interconnected. One to mention, we committed to doubling the rural road budget as well. So that will help with some of this infrastructure. We talk about housing, we talk about internet and roads. They all interconnect.
So that leads us to the last question, Dave. Lack of access to high-speed internet and cell coverage continues to plague Nova Scotia and our area. And while we recognize there are projects underway to introduce greater access to internet, there's also a gap in access to cell service that is necessary to grow business. These are necessary things. What is your party's plan to address this gap?
We'll invest in getting internet in every household, not most, every household. That's our commitment to Nova Scotians in rural Nova Scotia. We found through this pandemic how important the internet really is. And in order for us to grow our economy and grow our business lines, we need to invest in modernization, and internet is that. So we're committed to investing in all households.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dave, answering these questions that are important to our members. Is there anything that you would like to share in closing?
For me, in Truro-Bible, Hill-Millbrook, and Salmon River, I've been the MLA, like I said earlier, for 15 months. I'm honored and privileged to have that title. I'm committed to this community. I'm committed to the business community. And I want to make sure that, when it comes voting day on August 17th, that we have the right person voicing and advocating for our businesses, our small, medium businesses, and our community members here. I feel that I am that person, and I'm excited to come on August 17th, and hopefully you'll elect a PC MLA and a PC government.
Wonderful. The Chamber would like to thank all the candidates who made time in their busy schedules to come in and discuss important business issues with our Chamber, to bring these to our members in this format. We'd also like to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors, who made these podcasts possible. We encourage everyone to get out and have your voice heard by voting in the election.